Hi everyone, and thanks for being interested in this tutorial about auto layout. Auto layout is, I can safely say that it's one of the most interesting features in Figma, kind of like call it special feature, killer feature, or as you want to name it, but it's a pretty good feature or a way of building our layouts and elements inside our layouts, sections, screens, and so on, and making them behave in an automatic way, okay, that can make us or give us the ability to easily make changes and build them in a smart, responsive way. Okay, so that is actually the meaning of auto layout, meaning automating the way that our layout behaves. I guess that is the meaning of it. Okay, so we have here an auto layout and we are going to build something like that, this comment element or component, and we can easily, as you see, these elements are responsive and we can do it like a reply which indents inside, and we can do this a reply of a reply, and we can do this the reply of this one. So we can play easily with the hierarchy of these replies, these the way that these comment elements are laid out, and one step at a time. We will get to it later on. Let's start and understand how elements behave in an auto layout. And I think that the best way to do it actually is to just show it with simple elements to begin with. And this will give us a lot of understanding of how actually elements behave inside an auto layout. So I have here another screen, a mobile screen, and it doesn't matter actually, mobile, desktop, tablet, any other platform, it really doesn't matter. It's just to show how the elements will behave inside an auto layout. I'm just going to throw a bunch of elements here, okay, and just give them different color just to um, make them look a bit different from each other, and something very quick and easy like that. Okay, so I'm selecting them all together and I can add an auto layout, meaning I am framing them. An auto layout, by the way, is a frame. Okay, it's a frame with an auto layout behavior. You will notice as I will create the auto layout that the icon of the frame is not going to be like this hashtag, okay? It's going to be different and you will see it in a sec. So I can add auto layout in a few ways. I can right click and click on add auto layout. I can shift A, either Mac or PC, it doesn't matter, and I can click the plus button here which adds an auto layout. So now we have an auto layout. If you see the icon of this frame, which hints us that this is an auto layout, a vertical auto layout, okay? An auto layout can be easily turned into a horizontal auto layout, which I will show here, meaning if I will make this frame bigger, 1 second. I don't know if it's big enough, but anyway, if I click here, so you see yes, it is, it's okay. And it's become a horizontal auto layout and a vertical auto layout, which is pretty easy. Now let's look at all the configurations that we have inside an auto layout. 1 sec. Okay, so I'm clicking this auto layout. Actually, I am selecting it and I see here all these configurations, and let's understand what they all do. This one we already understood, horizontal and vertical, so we got it. We will see in a minute or in a few minutes how it serves us very well to use it in a bit of a different situation. This is the actually the spacing between the elements in the auto layout. So if I do, let's say 10, so I make a small space between them of 10 pixels, and I will make it 50, it easily changes into 50. Now, if I am double clicking one of them, I can easily change the locations of the element inside the auto layout by just dragging them up or down. And when it's a horizontal auto layout, I can drag them left and right. As you can imagine, we have this behavior already, if you are familiar with it or not, between two or three elements in Figma, that when they have equal space between them, we can just select them. Let me make a different color. We can select one of them and can just drag them and easily change, even without any auto layout or any other thing between them. But that doesn't matter right now, because this is our auto layout and this is what we are focusing on right now. So let's give it a bit of a smaller space, 20. And if I double click this element and I want to make it higher, so you see that the other elements or the auto layout still, of course, respects the spacing between them. And this is already the beginning of automating our layout, the way that our layout behaves, meaning we don't have to reconfigure the space or all the time know how many pixels exactly we had space between them and arrange it each time, um, again and again. Okay, so that's something very easy and pretty, I guess, quick to understand. Okay, and that is the way that we can configure it, either by just um, writing a number, or we can actually make it bigger like that, and just you know what, I'll get that in a sec. I will do the fixed behavior and the other spacing behaviors in a sec. Okay, let me just go over a few more things. This auto layout, as you can see, I can drag easily an element out of it, and I can push any element I want straight back into it anywhere that I wish. Okay, if I duplicate now, by the way, the alignment in the auto layout is being done here. As you see, you have top left, mid, and right. You have center, left, mid, and right, and you have bottom, left, mid, and right. Right now, actually, if I will change it, you will not see here any difference in, I mean, the only thing that you will see is this element, because it's the only shorter one or the narrower one of all. So that is the one that will actually jump between left, center, and the right. Okay, so this is the way that we align elements inside the auto layout. Double click on this element. If I duplicate it, okay, Control or Command D, I just duplicate it, it jumps and my auto layout grows. Okay, it jumps down, it adds another element, which it doesn't matter which one of them, Control or Command D. Okay, it adds another element and keeps the spacing and the way that all this auto layout actually behaves. Okay, now what happens if we want, let's say, these two elements beside each other, meaning we want here to have them one after the other, and we want to keep the structure of this auto layout. How do we actually do that? So let's say that I click on both of them and I select both of them. If I make them a group, a frame, or another auto layout to themselves, okay, so this auto layout will refer, let's do them a group, Control or Command G. Now this is a group. Inside this group, I have these two rectangles, you see? Now, if I just select one of them, see that now I can move it to where I want, because auto layout refers to a group as one element inside it. So inside this group, actually, I can throw even another element. I can just drag it inside this group. And when it's inside this group, see that I can just move it and place it wherever I want, because this group is a zone to itself. Okay, it's one element inside this auto layout. The other thing that I can do is I can frame them. Okay, I mean, it doesn't have to be a group. I can just, let's say, put it like that, and I can frame them. Let's give it a frame selection, and we can actually ungroup this group, and these guys now are inside a frame. Now this frame, of course, I can make it. Let's see how they're configured. This frame, 1 second, sorry. Okay, that's a left, and I can grow this frame here. I can grow this frame, you see, like that. And for the auto layout, actually, the frame width and height is the definition of the size of that element. Of course, I can play with how these elements behave inside this frame and adjust them accordingly to my need. Okay, each case to itself. Another thing that I can do, okay, I can shift A or add an auto layout, and look what happens. Now it's a horizontal auto layout. Before, it was, they were in a vertical position, both of them, and I could just give them an auto layout, click on the horizontal, and that's it. And then I have them both side by side. Okay, so that is a very easy way to do it. Now, again, if I want to have these two, okay, I can just shift A or click here to add an auto layout. Oh, it doesn't let it here now. Okay, I will just shift A, and I made them an auto layout. Click here, and now it's a horizontal auto layout. If I want another element inside this auto layout, remember that here, if I control D, if I duplicate one of the elements, it just throws one underneath it with the same spacing. Same goes for here. Double click, Control or Command D, and boom, we have another one beside it. So this is kind of like the general idea of how elements behave inside an auto layout. And there is another thing that I want to show and make clear. Okay, so this auto layout, now you will see it's in a hug contents configuration. Meaning, what does it mean, hug contents? It means that it hugs, or it's actually in the size of the elements, the bigger elements inside it. Okay, look that now I can just give it a fixed width. Okay, I just stretch it. Okay, I make it wider, and now it's in a fixed width. But you will see that, you see it's fixed, and that is the alignment inside of it. So it is fixed, but you will see that the other elements, they are not stretching or being bigger with the fact, I mean, they don't refer to the fact that I made this auto layout bigger. So if I double click this element, now you will see that it's in a fixed width. If I give it a fill container behavior, look what happens. Now it fills the container, because this auto layout is the container that have all these elements inside it. Double click on this one, same thing. Now it's in a fixed width, fill container. Now look what I can do even with these guys. This is an auto layout, okay? These are the pink cubes. Okay, pink cubes, yeah. So now it's in a hug contents, and now I give it a fill container. Again, you will see that actually nothing happened with these elements regardless the fact that I made it wider and give it a fill container behavior. Why? I'll tell you why. Because now the behavior of the elements inside it is packed. Packed, it means that it's stacking the elements one after the other or one below the other. If I will give this auto layout a behavior of space between, look what happens now. It means that it distributes the elements inside this auto layout, okay? And it distributes them with equal spacing between them, okay? So now actually you will see that it's responsive. You see, when I play with its width, when I make it narrow or wider, so they respond to this, making it narrower or wider. And more than that, if I will add more elements inside this auto layout, you will see that it distributes each element that is being added to this auto layout. It distributes and give them equal spacing between them, and you see that now it's on auto. Okay, it's an auto. You see, spacing between items is automatic. The moment it will be automatic, that means that it has a fixed width. Okay, here I will give it, let's say, 10. You see, so now it is not automatic anymore. And if I wanna make this auto layout come back to be hugging its contents, it means that here I can give it a hug contents behavior, and you see it hugs the contents which is inside of it. So this is how I can play with the behavior of elements either being distributed in equal spacing inside an auto layout, or being stacked one after the other. Now, let's say that I'm going to have here three elements, okay? And I want these two to go to this side. So I'm going to click these two. I'm going to group them, frame them, auto layout them, okay? I would just auto layout them, make them an auto layout, and I'm going to give this auto layout a behavior of space between. And now see what happens. So I have this auto layout, which is actually one element inside this auto layout. It's one element here and another element here. Another way actually to do it, if I want on a different situation, we will see how to do it in a different situation. If I give this one fill container, notice that it pushes these two to the side, it fills the container, okay, and minus, of course, the spacing between them. If I will grow the spacing between them, so this is the way it's going to be. These two are not going to change because they are inside their own auto layout. If I want to change the spaces between them, so I can just give them, let's say, 50, and then they push this one to the side. So the general idea is actually to know in each case what is the behavior that we are expecting from our layout, okay? And that's a very easy and comfortable way, I think, quite easy, let's put it like that, to understand it. And this is the general behavior of an auto layout. I think it's kind of like the base behavior of it. Now I'm saying that let's maybe start and build the actual element, and we will learn more how to use it while we are actually building it. By the way, another thing is, imagine, I want to show you another example. Imagine that we have a website, okay? I'll give it a 1920 by, actually the height doesn't matter so much. Let's give it a 3000 height. What doesn't change usually is the width, and the height, of course, is according to our contents. So we can actually have a header. Let's put a header here. For now, let's give it kind of like a very light background, not a very nice one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me just give it this one. Yeah, I just want to see our header. And now imagine that we can actually build our website in sections. Let's say that this will be section 1. Okay, section 1, and I will give it a bigger size. Yeah, okay. So that's a section 1, and let's give it a color. Yeah, section 1 can be white, or you know what, let's give it kind of like different. Okay, so this is section 1, and this is going to be section 2. Let's give it a bit of a different color. Here, this is section 2. Now, I'm putting these in an auto layout. The header, I can put in this auto layout as well if I want to make it a fixed positioned one. Okay, and if you're not so familiar with fixed positioned element in Figma, I suggest that you will see the tutorial about fixed positioned elements, my other tutorial, which is in this channel. Um, it depends. So if I want to make it a fixed positioned element, I better not put it inside the auto layout, but it's an easy decision which I can take later if I do or don't want it inside of it. And by the way, there are other kind of like responsive behaviors. To get a better idea of it, you can see another tutorial that I have here about constraints, which gives you a good idea about responsive behaviors of elements within frames, which is, I guess, if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest maybe even you stop this one, go and see the other tutorial, which will give you a better idea about responsive behaviors, and get back to this one. Just suggesting anyway. So I'm going to put these two in an auto layout. Okay, Shift A. Now I have here an auto layout. I will call it sections. Okay, I want another section. I can duplicate it easily. Control D, and I'm going to have another section. Control or Command, and I'm going to give it, let's say, a different color and so on. Okay, so imagine that you can actually, let's say that you can build different sections of your website. Let's say most popular, think about like most popular, let's say, products, and most trendy products and so on. You can build other sections here, okay, outside of the website. And each time you want to add a section, let's say, you can just design it here. And if I want to add this section, let's call it section 4, that's 14, it doesn't matter, obviously, same. I can just push it either here, or I can change its place to here or here, and see how easily we can actually do it. And I'm reminding you that inside each section you can do whatever you want. You can auto layout the elements inside of it. You can freestyle and give it any design that you want, but it's still a section in the website. Of course, I can make each section bigger or smaller. Okay, by the way, by giving this one, you see here the constraints, I'm giving it a center, and here also a center. That means that if I make this one smaller, meaning two horizontal smaller, and if I'm making it, you see, it all the time stays in the center. So constraints, also very important to understand. And as I told you, I have another tutorial on it. So let's say these sections are great. And if I want to have, let's say, spaces between these sections, I can easily do that, which right now it's on 0. So I can give it, let's say, a 50 pixels, you see, between them. And imagine if the background actually is white and the sections are white, you can easily give it a higher or a smaller space between your sections. So you can also plan a website and auto layout all its sections and build it very easily. Okay. Okay, so now by the way, I'm not sure that auto layout is going to be just one tutorial. I'm pretty sure actually I'm going to do some more tutorials about auto layout. This is the first one of them, and I think that, of course, one tutorial to understand completely auto layout, or like, I don't know, to let's say to gain some experience with auto layout. So only one tutorial is not enough, but anyway, that's a pretty good start. So let's see how we build actually something like this with what we have learned and see here. Okay, we already saw here how the elements behave inside an auto layout, and let's try and build something real. So I'm gonna do another mobile screen and let's see how we build that. I'm gonna do it really quickly. Take a circ, give it a, yeah, it's okay. I think kind of like 36 by 36 is pretty fair. Okay, and now I'm gonna use my content reel and choose an image to it. Just choose any avatar. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. And okay, I'm gonna give it a white stroke. Why a white stroke? Because I want to add a shadow, and I want this shadow to, um, let's do something like this. Good. You see, when I give it a white stroke, then the shadow kind of like gives it a nice difference. I think that, yeah, that's okay. Okay, cool. Now we are going to give a name. Not that big, of course, but that's the general idea. And I'm going to give it a aligning to the left. And the size of it is going to be like, I guess 20 is good. Maybe even 18, that's enough. And give it a medium. Of course, you can choose any font that you want, any design that you want. You can make this circle bigger, smaller, with stroke, without stroke. Of course, feel free to do whatever you want. I'm just showing you, I mean, like, just to understand the logic and the structure of how it's built with an auto layout. Okay, I'm going to take these two and I'm going to shift A and give them an auto layout behavior. Now, you see that this one actually they're kind of like aligned to the top. Why? Because the default alignment inside an auto layout is a top left. If I will give it mid left, now it's okay. We can easily change the spacing between them. Okay, I can give it a bigger space or a smaller space. Very easy. Okay, so that is one section in our comment template. Let's put it like that, or comment component, as you want. Now, by the way, to give it just a name, you can use content reel if you knew or not, just to kind of like throw names, text, full name. Let me see. Jane. Okay, Jane sounds good. Okay, good. So we have a name. Of course, you can write anything you want, and that is great. Now we're gonna have our text. We're going to add this in a sec. I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to show you another thing in an auto layout of how it's right to do it. So I'm just going to give it a text. I'm going to take lorem ipsum. Honestly, some people hate it. I don't like it always, but sometimes it just quickly do a good job, and I'm fine with that. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, let's give it like that. And by the way, okay, now that's something very important when using a text box, a text, it's not, yeah, it's a text box inside or a text area inside an auto layout. So this is very important. See now that this is in a fixed size, okay? In a fixed size, by the way, if you will notice, when I will add lines to this text area, see that it doesn't respect the amount of text which is in it. It just stays in a fixed size. In an auto layout, this is not what we want. Okay, in an auto layout, we will use, one second, let me just fix it. We will use the behavior of an auto height. Okay, when I click this auto height, you will see now. Why is that? Oh, we still have a space here. You will see that now when I add text to these lines, you see now it respects the height of the text area. And this is exactly what we want. We can leave it like this for now, it doesn't matter. And now we're going to have a like reply, and it was written yesterday, which is okay. So let's give it a like, kind of like what you have on Facebook. Let me just give it a regular, and this one will be, yeah, bold is okay. You can use it a 14 or 16, depends, in each font. I guess that, yeah, from 14 and up is okay. I would either say 16 in some cases, depends on the font. And depends of what we want to achieve. I think that here I did 16. Let me see. 14. That's the same thing, actually. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, so I'm going to put these two inside their own auto layout. Okay, now we can call this one avatar plus name, and we can call this one actions plus time. We will add the time now. Double click on this one, Control D. We have another one beside it. So I'm going to give it a, let's say, regular, and I'm going to give it kind of like a grayish color, and right here yesterday. Good. Okay, so that's fine. And we will change this to reply. Another thing which I want to show you, I didn't show before, but I'm going to show it right now as we are doing this one. Look at that. I mean, I can throw, let's say, a button, a text which I want for a button. Okay. Now, this text, if I add, let's give it kind of like regular. Okay. If I add an auto layout to a single element, which I can, and we didn't talk about also the padding. I will talk about it in a second, the padding of an auto layout. You can add padding to the auto layout itself, as I did here actually. And let me show you, you know what, I will show you here. I will get back to this screen, and okay. And let's see how it behaves with a padding. Okay, so second. Yes. So I'm going to give this auto layout a padding. You know what? I'll give it a color. Oh, it has a color, so I'll give it just something like that. Only that we can see its padding. Okay, because when it's white on white, you will see it a bit less, I guess. And now I will give it a padding here of, let's say, 20 pixels. So now you see it has a padding. Of course, if I want to, I will get to this one in a sec. I can choose different palette, or let's say give different paddings on each side, top, bottom, left, and right. So let's say I can give here 10, and I can give here 50 if I want to, and I have a reason to it. So why not? That's okay. So I can play with different paddings as I wish. Now, this one, which is an auto layout, look at its configuration. It is on fixed width. If I give it now a fill container, and I remind you that this is its container, okay, this is the container that contains this auto layout, and I will give it now a fill container. You see it aligns with all the other elements, and now it's behaving as all the rest of them. More than that, I can even keep on designing it a bit. If I want to, I can give it, let's say, round corners. So you see now we also have round corners to our auto layout and so on. I can give it a shadow, etc. You can design it as you are designing a frame in general. Okay, so let's get back to here. And if I am giving this button, okay, an auto layout, so it's a shift A, see that in default it already gives it a 10 pixel padding from each side. If I want to make it look like a button, I can give it a feel. Let's say give it a background color. I can give it different paddings. Okay, I can give it a padding here of 30 and 30. Okay, and now I have it more as a button shape. I can also give it round corners. Its height is 39, so let's give it 20, and now we have a round cornered button. If we want to do a few buttons, okay, like chips, for example, if I double, just duplicate it, make them an auto layout, and I can easily just duplicate Control or Command D. I can easily duplicate another one. And if I will give this one a shorter text, so you see that it respects the size of the text inside this auto layout. I'm reminding you that this is an auto layout to itself. The only space that we have here is the padding that we gave it here. I mean, I can give it, let's say, 10 and 10, and then it's going to be like this. Of course, it doesn't make sense design wise, but anyway, I'm just saying that we can if we want to. Okay, so I'm just double clicking it, Control or Command D, boom, I have another one, and I keep on. So anyway, so that is and how to make a quick button with an auto layout. Let's put it aside here. It doesn't matter for us right now. We have this one in an auto layout, and we can put all of these now. Okay, we have an auto layout here. We have this text area, and we have an auto layout here. I'm going to select all of them and make them an auto layout. Shift A, and now we have them auto laid out. Okay, so I can easily, if I want, change the spacing, as you already know, and we can do something like this. Now, if I wanted like more of a framed comment, okay, second, let me put this aside. Okay, now our auto layout now is in a hug contents. I'm gonna give it for now a fixed size. It's fixed. Left is the alignment inside of it. Double click on the text area, and the text, now it's in a fixed width. I'm going to give it a fill container. So now it fills the container. Okay. Now this one can stay as it is. This one can stay as it is, and that's okay. Now, see that if now I'm going to make it bigger or smaller, you see that it respects, of course, it can't be smaller than it is, but it respects the height of the text area. Okay, so it's already behaving in a responsive way, which is great. Now, I'm going to give it a fill. Let's do like as I did here. Now it has a fill. I'm going to give it padding. You see now as a default, because we did a few elements, it comes with 0 padding. Let's give it a 20. Can even give it a 15. That's okay. Good. Now I give it maybe some round corners, a bit too much. I can give it like that. That is okay. Good. So now we already have our comment built in an auto layout, and it's great. Now, I forgot on purpose this time. I wanted to add um, this actual three dots menu icon. I'm going to copy it and just put it here on the screen. Now, I can, oh, yes. I want to just put it inside this auto layout, okay, of the avatar name. So I can just drag it, and you see, now it is here. We want it all the way to the right side. So what we can do is we can either both ways now to do it. One way is just to stretch, give it a fixed size, okay? These ones, we can put them inside their own auto layout, and we will give them a alignment mid, vertical. And now what we will do is we can turn this auto layout into a space between, and it throws this one to the right end. This is what we want. That's one way of doing it. Sometimes there is more than one way of doing things. Now I'm going to control Z, and yeah, now we're back to how it was before. Now look at that. I'm gonna give this one a fill container. Oh, sorry. I need to first grow it all the way here, but you know what? I'm gonna do it again. I don't want it in a fill container. No, let's give it how it was on a fixed width. And now I'm gonna grow this auto layout, just stretch it all the way to here. And now I'm going to give this one a fill container. Boom, you see what it did? It pushed this icon to the far end. Of course, it is responsive. I mean, if I just do this, you will see that it's behaving okay. It's behaving in a responsive way, and that is what we want. So you saw now actually two ways of actually getting the same result. Okay, in this case, that's okay. So instead of doing actually another auto layout inside this auto layout, we can just solve it like this, which now it is great. Okay, so all the left for us to do is let's make this text a bit shorter, and that's okay. And I can duplicate it. By the way, let's call this one a comment. Okay, now if I auto layout this comment, Shift A, you see, actually, this is going to be comments in having this comment inside. Oh, what did I write here? Something in Thai, maybe. I'm gonna fix it now. Okay, sawadee ka. Now, if I will control D, you see, it throws another one below it. And by the way, look at that. When I did an auto layout only on one element, it already gave it a padding. You see, it gives it a default padding when it's only one element. Okay, I can easily just put it on 0 if we don't want this padding. That's okay. And I can leave this padding, depends on the case, depends on your designs, depends on what you need. Okay, good. So I want to make it a bit wider. These two in this auto layout, I'm going to make it wider. And now it has a fixed width. These ones, this auto layout, I'm gonna do fill container. Now this one is needs to be also, you see, I mean, let's fix it one by one and see exactly how we'll make it as we want. So we gave this one a fill container, and this one now we will give also fill container. This one is already in a fill container, so it pushes it all the way to the end. This one, the same thing, fill container, and this one as well, fill container. Boom, we have it amazingly aligned and behaving exactly as we want. Now, if we want to indent this one, meaning like it's, let's say, replied this, sorry, we will make this. Now this happened because this auto layout is aligned to top left. I will give it aligned to the right now, and then you see we can indent it quite easy. Of course, we can also easily change the text here to a shorter message. You see, it behaves amazingly responsive. Now I can control D and duplicate it. I can make it a reply of this one. You see how easy now we can do it and play with it. And Control D, I can change its place easily to here by just dragging it down. And now we have a comment, a reply to this comment, a reply to the reply, and another reply to this comment. Amazing. Look how easily. So we invested time, little time, short time, just to build this element in a good auto layout and very responsive, in a responsive way. And now see how easily we can make changes in our layout. And this is exactly what auto layout is for. Okay, you see? So, I guess that for now it was a pretty long tutorial, and I guess it's quite enough. I hope it was helpful and that you have learned and took from this tutorial whatever you came for. I hope so very much. And of course, I will be very happy if you can press the subscribe button and be aware of the next tutorials that I'm gonna do on auto layout. And thank you very much. See you in my next tutorial. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.